Ben Whittaker's team's huge mistake. Today I'm going to react to a recent interview with Ben Whittaker's opponent, Liam Cameron. Make sure to stick around because the plot is thickened and the rematch between the pair has got even more interesting, which I'm going to break down. If you're new here to the channel, my name's Lawrence Oswecki, a professional boxer and also a former member of GB amateur boxing team, and I've also boxed alongside Ben back in my amateur days where I was made team captain. Just quickly, I had a few comments saying that I'm hating on Ben, but this is far from the truth. My goal here on YouTube is to give my knowledge and experience, and sometimes that means telling the hard truth. That's it. It's not personal at all, so if you like hearing things unfiltered, you've come to the right place, so make sure to subscribe. So now we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at the interview.
We didn't see much of the showboating that Ben Whittaker is renowned for.
He respects me, don't he? Won't admit it.
Liam's talking facts, because had Ben been able to get away with showboating, he would have been. But Ben knew if he did, he would have been punished, so it was nowhere to be seen. And the reason he went viral was because of the showboating, which I personally like, because boxing's about entertainment, and in fairness, he brings that. Well, until he met Liam Cameron. People say he tries to be like Prince Nazim, but the difference is, Prince Nazim was showboating at world level, whereas Ben, he was doing it against lower level opponents, essentially journeymen. And there's a difference between showboating and completely disrespecting your opponent, especially ones that are clearly beneath you. People at your level, it's fair game.
We've signed for a 12-round fight. They're trying to push it for a 10-rounder, doing everything they can, and I'm not budging.
Someone on Ben's team, his manager, or whoever deals with the contracts, has made a massive mistake, and they've made it a 12-round fight instead of a 10-rounder. It's madness. Whoever it was needs sacked. You don't make them type of mistakes. An extra 2 rounds, trust me, it makes a big difference.
And this is what I tried to do it on. Gloves are off. They won't let me speak about it. And on Sky Sports, they didn't air my interview.
This is the reason Ben Shalom wanted the fight on a boxer card and not a Queensbury, so he had full control. Because he knows if Ben's to win, he needs every advantage and upper hand he can get.
When I was signing contract, I thought, he couldn't barely get through 5 rounds. This was weird.
Ben was absolutely spent after 6 rounds, so there's no way he'd want a 12-round fight, because that would be playing into Liam's hands, because he's more experienced over the longer distance.
So like a couple of weeks went by, and like they tried to send another contract. I'm ready for 15 rounds.
Liam's fought 5 10-round fights and 1 12-rounder, so he's way more experienced in the championship rounds. And the fact they're trying to change it to a 10-rounder, it'll give Liam huge confidence, because as a fighter, I would say that is weakness. Because if you believe you can win, it wouldn't matter if it was a 12-rounder or a 10-rounder.
You want 12 rounds and Ben Shalom and Whittaker want 10, is that right?
Well, it's signed for 12 rounds.
There's simply been a massive schoolboy error, because there's no way Ben Shalom would have made it a 12-rounder, because in fairness, he does seem to care about his fighters and wants the best for them. It's a mad one.
Right, so what's Frank saying about it then?
It's just saying that we're not budging, no matter what.
Old Bricktop will be loving it, Frank Warren, because you know he doesn't like Ben Shalom, so he'll be absolutely laughing his socks off.
Has it been a battle to get him to fight you again? Because there was I know you think he swallowed it. A lot of people think he did as well. But have you had to drag him into this fight?
Say what you want about Simon Jordan, because I know he's a bit of a Marmite character. I'm not exactly a fan myself, but I do like the way he's straight to the point. You know, he says it the way it is, love it or hate him. You do need that type of interviewer to stir the pot, to bring the entertainment. I think a lot of people just think he's a dick, but he wears that title with pride.
Well, we've done some kind of stunts, calling him out, putting videos together, and the fans have really backed me. And
in my opinion, I think if Ben could have got around this fight, he would have. But like Liam said, he had no choice because the fans wanted it. I just don't believe that Ben wanted the rematch, because the first fight was only going one way. He'd been slowly broken down, he looked tired and laboured, and he had nothing left. And if he hadn't thrown himself out of the ring, I believe he would have got stopped. It's boxing, it happens. There's no shame in it, no shame at all. And the people who say he might have got a second wind, I don't think so. He'd run out of ideas and there was no wind left. He pretty much robbed Liam of a victory, but at the same time done him a favour, because his profile in stock is actually risen, and it's made the rematch even bigger, which means a bigger payday.
I like Ben. I think he's a very talented fighter. I think you probably think he's a talented fighter. Were you surprised that what he brought into that fight?
Simon says to Liam, were you surprised at what Ben brought to the fight? Was he nowhere near as good as you thought he would be?
No, do you know what it is? It's hard to do the rounds when you've not done them. You can spar and spar and spar.
I can totally relate to what Liam's saying. You can spar 10 rounds easy, but 10 rounds on fight night is a different story. It's not the same. And Liam's been there and done it many times. And as the old saying goes, you can't buy experience. For any young fighters watching, I'm also a boxing coach. And I often get asked the question, how do I get fitter for sparring? And they think I need to do more running. Well, you don't. You need to do more sparring. Of course, running helps, but nothing replaces actually sparring. And it's the same for fighting. If you want to be fit on fight night, fight more regular, get match fit. Because gym fit is different to match fit. This is where Liam's experience came in, because he weathered the storm early, kept it together, because he's been there before. It's all about, can you hold it together under the bright lights when the going gets tough? Or do you decide to take an exit over the top rope?
Let's be right, I was there to get battered that night.
Yep.
Facts. I said this in my last video, but this fight was set up for Ben to shine on his Saudi debut, but he failed miserably. It was meant to be a step up, but one that he would win. But they didn't realise how good Liam was, where I did, because we came through the amateurs the same time. Back in 2009, he was a standout name.
But we know how good I am. The mental mindset now, what I've got, is unbreakable. With the thing what's happened to me.
Liam's had drink and drug addiction. He lost a daughter. Going through that and coming out the other side is going to make you extremely mentally strong. And I'm not saying that Ben's not mentally tough, because they don't give Olympic silver medals away. And I've been through the Olympic setup and it's extremely tough. And Ben's been boxing since he was a kid, so he's no pushover. But what I can't unsee is him leaning back over the ropes and not trying to stop himself. And to top it off, he didn't once try to attempt to make it to his feet. He showed the world he had quit in him. And don't get me wrong, because everybody's got quit in them at some point, but he showed it a lot earlier than you would think.
You've been in there with him. Does he hit hard?
I never thought, oh, that hurt me or anything like that. It weren't hard at all.
He says he didn't feel Ben's power, but as a fighter myself, I take it with a pinch of salt, because going into a rematch, it's something you just deny. But in fairness in the fight, he didn't look fazed.
Worked for you on the night.
I weren't really banging him in yet. When I boxed Lyndon Arthur, started early from second round, swinging at everywhere.
And like I said earlier, you can't buy experience. And Liam learned from his fight with Lyndon Arthur because he started too fast. And this is what happened with Ben against Liam. He started too fast and he was forcing it.
He weren't reacting well to shots. He was falling all low. He was hitting me low. He was holding. It couldn't have gone any better.
You can see that Liam's took huge confidence from the first fight, because in his mind, it was all going to plan. Let's remember, Liam had a number of years out of boxing because of various problems, and he's came back. So realistically, each fight he should be getting better and better, because he would have had more time in his new gym, Steely Gym in Sheffield, more time to gel with his new coach. And the biggest takeaway is the fact the fight is a 12-rounder instead of a 10. A massive mistake from Ben's team, because from the last fight, it seems that Ben has stamina issues, so the longer rounds is great news for Liam. Ben spent a long time in the amateurs, programming his body for tournament boxing, 3 rounds. Sometimes fighters find it hard transitioning from the amateurs to the pros, fighting over the longer distance. It's like a 100-meter sprinter transitioning to a marathon. It's different. I know it's not a great example, but you get what I'm saying. Ben's got a great new coach in Andy Lee, but is it enough time for the two of them to gel? Let me know what you think. Does the mistake made by Ben's team affect the outcome? Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe and go watch this video next.